Hey, what's going on, Clipper people? It is me, William the Opinion Updike.
And I'm positive Chuck Mockler.
Hanging in there. Today we're going to be talking about the Clippers blowing a 16-point lead to the Bulls. A lot of mental mistakes down the stretch in this one, but hey, we're going to talk about it. And then we're going to give you a Clips taking on the Bucks preview, second night of back-to-back. Brutal game to drop to the Bulls tonight before playing the Bucks. And then we're going to bring you a Love, Marry, Quarantine. As we do every single Friday. Basically, we're ranking something arbitrarily related to the Clippers, and we're either loving it, we're marrying it, or we're quarantining it, which means get it the heck away from us. So all that and more coming up right about now.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome to Locked On Clippers, coming at you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Kill some windshield time with us. Make us your first listen. Let's get into this 135-130 overtime loss for the Bulls. Yet another overtime loss.
0-4.
0-4. We don't want to go to overtime ever. I mean, look, the Clippers blew a 16-point lead and I think DeMar said this on Twitter, just did everything possible at the Bulls back into this one. Also of note, because of the minutes restriction, Paul George didn't play in overtime.
Yeah.
Which I respect the move.
Is what it is.
It is what it is. It's obviously frustrating to get the win, but
he was obviously tired too, because we'll talk about some of these mental mistakes that really cost the Clippers the game, and I think some of that, especially the last Paul George foul, could be attributed to that. But let's talk about what we liked.
Yes,
because Reggie had a great game in this one.
Reggie
offensively,
Morris, yeah.
really solid. Reggie 34 points, leading scorer for the Clippers. 52 shooting from the floor, 6 of 9 from 3. I love the attempts. Paul George struggled in this one. We'll talk about that more later. But it wasn't really enough. But another guy who we were kind of looking at to hopefully have a good game did have a good game offensively. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Marcus Morris?
So Morris had 20 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 58% shooting. Ty Lue talked in the pregame about how even with Paul George back, he still needs, everyone to play well. And that involves getting Morris going early. And we saw that. I think 4 of the first 6 Clippers shots were from Marcus Morris. He made the first one, which was awesome. He was moving physically like he maybe knew he didn't have to play the day that you're listening to this, maybe the next day. We were putting DeMar, who absolutely destroyed us, he had 50 points. We'll talk about that in a sec too. But they were putting DeMar in motion early on defense, which theoretically is an idea for, a plan for success. But it was nice to see Morris bounce back. And yeah, just nice to see it happen with Paul George also on the floor.
Yeah, for sure. Because, we had kind of talked about that, post Paul George's first game and even kind of leading up to Paul George returning to the lineup. Morris is one of those guys who would have to make adjustments offensively. And maybe more so than some other players just because of, at times, how reliant we could be, or at least trying to be reliant
sure.
on sort of feeding him the ball in the post and various places where he likes to get the ball. And, that wouldn't be the case with Paul George back.
Very much so. And it was nice from him tonight. Kudos to Marcus Morris. And Nick Batum. This was a
barn burner.
This was an elite performance.
Batum performance. Yeah, he finished with 17-5 with 2 assists. He added 2 steals and 3 blocks. He was +3 in 38 minutes. I mean,
he did everything you absolutely need Nick Batum to do. It was kind of a masterclass in what Batum does well. We also got to see some Rocco Morris Batum minutes.
Yes,
which everyone was very excited about. We saw some small ball, which went okay. Well, not really. It blew the lead. But yeah, no, great game from Batum. And then as a whole, the Clippers shot 44% from 3. Looking at the stats in this game, any game where you're shooting 44% and you're the Clippers, you're probably making a bunch of mistakes to let the other team back into it. And that's what happened in this one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, almost everybody but Paul George crushed from deep.
PG went 2 of 9. Kennard 2 of 5, 40%. Batum
Morris shot 33%, but other than that, everyone shot 40% or better who attempted threes, unless they only attempted 1 and didn't make it.
Yeah, basically, all right, we're getting into what we didn't like in this one. We got to talk to DeMar DeRozan. He had 50 points on 64% shooting. He only took 2 threes. He made both of them. 14 of 15 from the line. I mean, he got the shots that DeMar DeRozan needs to get, which are mid-range shots. and shots at the bucket. And I mean, I don't know what else, right? Like when DeMar has 50 and you make those mistakes, everything was going so well until literally halfway through the fourth. And then there was a bit of an energy switch where the Bulls were just able to get to the rim at will and kind of get into their usual sets. And their usual sets involved DeMar crushing in the mid range. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, there were like defensively at late, we were trying to double him at times, and like it was just like a
Phony
soft
doubles.
Yeah, it was like a soft double because he was still just like walking into those. He was still just like walking into those like mid rangers in the paint that he's really fond of. So I didn't fully understand that, and I don't know if that was a fatigue thing. I'm not sure if it was just miscommunications. I don't really know what to attribute it to that, but like, if you got two guys on somebody and the options are he can walk into the spot that he wants, or if he can't walk into the spot that he wants, he's got an open man on the floor. Like, I just don't see the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're not stopping
one thing off.
if you're not stopping any sort of like forward progress of the player you're doubling,
what's the point?
Why are you doing it? Why are you like allotting an extra defender to that offensive player? So this honestly, like, this to me felt like the PG warm-up game.
Very good call. He just flipped it. He flipped the order of what he was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, totally. Like, this would have made sense to me, like, if this was the first game, and not that it still makes sense to me that it's the second game. Like, I'm not going to dwell on it. Really not going to get down on it. It is what it is. It's a player coming back. Still trying to find his rhythm. Still trying to, get to the level that he needs to be at. And like, I think that this led on his part to one of the mental mistakes. But like, the big thing that I didn't like is like, it was just kind of lapses in good judgment and good process that cost us this game in regulation, which I would say ultimately cost us the game overall. Like, if Paul George wasn't going to play overtime minutes, which, it wasn't announced. It's not like that was announced pregame or anything, but like, if that was the situation, the game was over at regulation. So there was a Terrence foul on the inbounds in the fourth, which just ended up kind of being a huge momentum play for the Bulls.
Dude,
like a call like that, it's absolutely backbreaking for a defense. It gets them back in the game with a free shot and a possession. And then the big thing, the big one was just Paul George fouling DeRozan on a three at the end, and
he made 2 or 3. Like,
once again, like, I do think that it was a smart call to not play Paul George in overtime, because to me this is a tired mistake. To me, this is the kind of mistake that you make, like, when you're, the conditioning is kind of worn out and you're not mentally at the level that you need to be at. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, when you're tired, you're not making the best decisions on the floor. And I expect these mistakes from a guy coming back.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's not like a big deal. I totally get it. And honestly, like, in a way, I'm kind of glad that it happened.
I'm glad it happened against the Bulls, not a Western Conference team.
I mean, like,
in this specific scenario,
this was like a high leverage moment, and this was like a big gaffe in a way. Like, in a small game, in a microcosm of a way, it was a big gaffe. Like, it's not, it doesn't have any season-ending implications.
Sure.
It's not like it's not like it's a flash in the pan, but it's the kind of mistake in a high leverage moment that I think galvanizes a player, knowing, that they made a mistake and what they need to do. And I also think that that's kind of a nice heat check for Paul George after how smoothly everything went.
Could
in that
not
first
have gone
game.
better against the Jazz for the most part.
And so in a way, I do think that's good. Like, learning experiences are good if you actually learn from them. And I think, still, remains to be seen, to be determined, but I think that they will learn from this one.
Yeah.
And then the other foul that I know everyone is going to talk about, like the overtime BS call on the continuation for DeMar
More just
DeRozan.
a bad call as opposed to implication.
It was it was a bad call, but I have to be honest, like, this wasn't the singular deciding factor in this game. And honestly, like, if you're committing fouls down the stretch of a game, you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Like, that's just not how that works. You're not scoring any points with the ref there. So anyways, that's what I didn't like from this one. Charles, anything else you didn't like from this one?
The final one is energy switch. The energy switched late in this game. We were never fully able to put the Bulls away. Even up 16, it didn't. It kind of felt like the Clippers were in cruise control at one point, but it wasn't
Yes.
real. It
Yeah,
was not
I
real in
agree.
any way. And also,
It was the we're in the driver's seat kind of cruise control.
yeah, the worst kind. Also, the Bulls answered everything we had in overtime. Luke hit a 3 to cut it to 1. Patrick Williams, who had a crazy game off the bench, hit a 3 right away to answer it. He also had 10 boards. And I will say this has to be the worst offensive rebounding performance for the Clippers all year. We lost them 13-4, and we lost them to the team ranked 30th in total offensive rebounds per game and 29th in offensive rebounding percentage.
And
They
this
are
was
not a good offensive rebounding team. It was miserable effort on that front.
this was a huge differentiating factor to me, like in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And I talk about this all the time, but like, just having to put those extra seconds on the clock to defend, even if they don't end up scoring on that possession, they'll score on the next one.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like you
exactly.
just can't tax a defense like that time after time again. So yeah, it's difficult. And honestly, like I don't know how to feel about this one because it hurts, but it's ultimately not a big deal. Like
Yeah.
it's really like I said, it's like a gaff, but in like a microcosm of a way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
Shouldn't be this worked up, but we are because it was overtime. At least we can look forward to the Clippers versus Bucks game the day you're listening. That's we're going to preview in just a sec. But first, we got to go out to Bet Online. It is that time of year again as college basketball's biggest tournament is upon us. Big weekend. Me personally, my bracket challenge is pretty much riding on Kansas versus Villanova. Let's go Jayhawks. Rock Chalk, you guys know what I'm talking about. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, betonline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. They remain the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. It's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
all right. So the day you're listening to this, the Clippers play another game.
Yeah.
Classic back-to-back taking on the Bucks, which is terrifying. So
Who just played an OT game. So they're in kind of a weird stretch right now.
yes, yeah. Would you say they're going through a bit of a skid?
I don't know. We're getting them on the second night of a back-to-back. They lost to Memphis by 25. They beat the 76ers by 2. They just played the Nets in overtime. So I mean, they won by 1. Like I don't know if it's a skid, but they're tired. Like they got to be exhausted. Giannis just played overtime. I don't know if Giannis plays in this game. He was probable, so he was actually on their injury report for their game against the Nets. Do we want so here's who's gonna play in this game basically. Is Giannis gonna play? And then Batum and Morris were listed as questionable ahead of the Bulls game the day of. They ended up playing. Will PG play? Like, what the hell's gonna happen in this game? Am I wrong for having these questions? Like, I don't know.
It's not. You're not wrong at all. And like looking at the Bucks in the standings, I mean, they have a game and a half lead on the third place Celtics. So yeah, I don't know. Non-conference opponent. I don't know how you play this one.
Giannis played heavy minutes.
Yeah.
If I were the Bucks, I wouldn't play Giannis. I guess, but I don't know. And Paul George, there's no way we want Paul George playing in this game, right?
A little warm up.
Maybe for like
Plays the first half.
6. If he plays the first half, sure, but like
Plays only the second half, so he gets the extra rest.
I like that. Yeah.
No, I agree. Like I think it's fine for Paul George to not playing this one. If Batum and Morris, if one of the two, if both of the two don't play, I mean, it is what it is. Like,
let's just sit all 3, get some time for like Amir, who I think again played 48 seconds in this Bulls game or something like that. Maybe 46, could have been less. Like, let's just try some fun stuff out. Let's get into what we need to do well. If Paul George sits this one out, Reggie hopefully can continue his aggressiveness. Wait, are we going to maybe rest Reggie? He's had a bunch of minutes this season too.
yeah, he also just had a really great game, so I'd maybe just be like, man, take this one off.
We're going to have 8 guys for this game. Brandon Boston Jr., I think, we don't know the injury report. He might still be sick. But But yeah, so the Bucks defensive rating is 14th in the league. They're not exactly, setting the league on fire with their defense. It's still obviously above average. But if we can get paint touches and distribute, it'll make it a lot easier. We also will get threes. The Bucks give up the most threes in the league.
Yeah, it's a Budenholzer thing.
At just over 40. Here's to Luke being able to be, aggressive. I picked this game for him to go off on. Rocco maybe will have an efficient game, but we just can't have like Reggie and Morris if they play combined to go 3 for 19 from 3 or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And when it comes to relying on Morris, if we have to do iso ball, we just got to muck this game up.
Definitely.
We're not everyone's going to be playing.
Yeah.
So let's make this one weird and slow and gross to watch.
Yeah, for sure. We if we're hitting the threes they give us, we also have to deny them some threes.
Oh yeah.
So if Batum goes in this one, that could be really big.
Yes. He sets the tone really early with his ball denial, which is awesome.
Definitely. So the Bucks take the 4th most 3-point attempts per game, hitting them at the similarly the 4th best clip in the league. So yeah, you got to kind of curb that, which I thought we did a great job of once again in that Jazz game. And then the Bulls, we kind of let them. It's difficult because like they're stylistically teams that from what we've seen so far from the Clippers this year, like we know aren't going to match up that well.
Bulls are a good one.
And Bulls is kind of like one of those teams. And the Bucks are obviously like not a if Giannis is playing, not really a great matchup for anyone.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, they're shooting like 40% for like as a team from 3 since the All-Star break.
They're shitting on people since the All-Star break.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if they decided it, like if they're flipping the switch or.
I think that's Giannis has that now. I am a firm like Giannis is on his way to maybe being the GOAT.
I think he might be.
He's close, but
like right now,
not like of all time. But
he's like the.
It's kind of his league a little bit.
He's like the green.
Is where we're trending. Yes,
he's the green, not the GOAT.
Yeah, there you go.
He's the greatest right now.
Yeah. But I think since the All-Star break, they're 6-1 at home. Since the All-Star break, they're plus 12 in net rating at home since the All-Star break.
Insane.
Like it's absolutely insane. What could go wrong? Giannis plays, Paul George doesn't.
Yeah.
Like I just don't know. Maybe Budenholzer, if you're listening, if you're getting some extra prep in and you're listening,
famously likes to limit Giannis minutes.
He does, and pretty big fan of this podcast. Everything I've gathered. There's also the possibility we get demolished on the boards. The Bucks are 2nd in total rebounds per game.
Oh yeah, they're animals.
First
like
in defensive rebounds per game, 16th in offensive rebounding per game, 3rd in defensive rebounding percentage, 16th in offensive rebounding percentage. They are also 6th in the league in second chance points. Like this is, you talk about stat profiles not matching up with the Clippers.
Yeah.
Here's 3 right here.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, like if the Bucks are at full strength, that's gonna be brutal.
Yeah, not really sure what we're gonna get from our wings and guards, but if we got another kind of like 7+ board night from Terrence Mann or something like that, like good.
Oh, yeah.
If we're gonna steal this win, and it will be a stolen win, we need good chaos Terrence.
Definitely.
100%. Can't make this one easier on them from the line. Just gotta be defending smartly. Will, real quick, what's your prediction for this game? Where some people might play and some people might not.
I'm thinking we're dropping this one.
I think we might too. Just hope for some good process.
Yeah, I've kind of thought this since September.
You saw the schedule.
Yeah, it was released.
I think that's fair. Coming up, we are going to be talking a quick standings check and then a Norm Power report we missed the other day. But first, Will, if I wanted to get built with some kind of bar, again, I'm so confused on these websites. Where the heck could I do that?
You got to check out Built Bar. Look,
of course.
If you listen to this podcast, we talk about Built Bar all the time.
Constantly.
We love Built Bar. But what you might not know is that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors. There's truly something for everyone. When you talk to a Built Bar fan, it's really cool. They're always passionate about their favorites. If you don't know the Built Bar flavors, you're missing out. They got coconut, cherry, barcia, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, strawberry, orange, cookies and cream, and German chocolate. Ooh, yummy.
Wow.
You want to know what my favorite flavor is?
Oh,
all of them.
Whoa.
That's why I get the mixed box where you get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Look, not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, they're healthy too. Check out these macros. Each bar has 17 to 18 grams of protein. calories ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. And check out the Puffs, the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Not just a protein bar, a protein treat that comes in churro, coconut, and banana cream pie. And right now we have a very special offer for our listeners. If you go to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15, you'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
All right. Welcome to Shavings.
Hey, Shavings.
It's Shavings. Quick standings note. Seems like we're going to be in 8th-ish. The Pels are down by 3.5 games with 5 left. So not impossible for them to catch us. They obviously have the tiebreaker, as we all know.
Yep.
But not impossible, right? Like, some very Clippers things have to happen for this to go down. But we're in the play-in either way for the most part, right? So
Hope so.
we're gonna be in the play-in. How worried are you about losing the 8th seed?
V.
Really? You
No,
think we go down?
no,
to that?
I think that we're pretty set in the spot, but I would say that if it were to get any closer, I would be very worried because
Sure.
that is not a situation you want to be in.
No, I do not want to be in that 9th spot.
That's bad. That's bad news.
That is bad news. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't get anything too crazy. And then we missed this the other day, but Norm Powell is apparently not feeling any pain during his workouts per TNT, so that's good. Yet another kind of non-update, which inspired today's Love, Marry, Quarantine.
All right.
Which every Friday we play this fun game where you pick one thing arbitrarily related to the Clippers that may or may not be real. Spoiler alert, it's never real. To love, one thing to marry, because it is 2022, and then one thing to quarantine, again, also because it's 2022. So these are updates for Kawhi Leonard and Norm Powell.
All
that we
right.
could get. The first one we have is sources telling us that Kawhi Leonard is participating in rigorous daily walks, sometimes getting into moseying territory as he prepares for his comeback.
I love a good mosey.
Second option is, according to sources, Norman Powell's feet remain attached to his legs, opening up the door to a possible return should both stay attached during his recovery. I mean, hey, that's a big deal.
Seems pretty straightforward to me.
And then the final one to choose from, multiple sources reporting that both Kawhi Leonard and Norm Powell are expected to return to basketball at some point, barring anything that might prevent them from doing so.
All right, so I have to quarantine this last one just because that sounds like something we would actually hear. We would actually get this update that they are expected to return to basketball, barring anything that might prevent them from doing.
Yeah, we've
so.
heard this one already.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right, which one are you loving and which one are you marrying?
Oh man. I'm loving Norm Powell's feet staying attached to his legs because that hasn't even been an issue yet. But
almost, he did break a bone in his foot.
I'm glad that it's not an issue.
Think if it was every bone in his foot.
Yeah, what if they're like flying away?
His feet?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
That
It's like
seems
that-
bad for a return.
It's like that scene in The Simpsons when the kicker's kicking a field goal and his leg flies off and then kicks the ball again to make the kick. So you're marrying
Mosey.
Kawhi's mosey.
Marrying a Mosey.
Yeah, I
If
think
there's a Mosey on the table, I'm probably marrying it.
I would like this just because I'd love to see Kawhi out on a daily walk.
You think
No
he wears,
headphones.
Think he wears a windbreaker?
Oh yeah, and a White Sox hat because that's what he loves. Yeah,
Nice
he's
power walk.
he's mall
in the
walking.
windbreaker.
Dude, Kawhi, what if Kawhi's just doing mall walks at a mall in the middle of nowhere where people don't like basketball or something, and he's just there to get his steps in?
Yeah, I love it.
Did you? My
Marry-
mom.
Well, I marry it. So
My mom was a mall walker for a couple months. She would just go to the mall and walk.
when she was younger or at her current age?
When she was older, she wasn't young doing this. Is an older person activity.
Well, I was just asking.
No,
'cause I
yeah,
was gonna
she was
say-
older, and she is older, and she
Because
would
I'm
just go to
pro
mall
it.
walks.
My grandparents got really into the old ball walk.
Well, and if you're in an area where it's cold as hell during winter, what's a better place to walk around than the mall?
They were in Florida.
Ooh, well, hey, cold for Florida. Good people watching? I don't know. We wish Kawhi well in his mall walking and moseying, and crossing our fingers that Norm Powell's feet remain attached to his legs. Monday's episode, recap of Pels versus Clips. Whew, let's hope we get that dub on Sunday.
Oh man.
It's hard to beat a team 4 times, right?
Right?
Right? We're gonna have
Right?
we're gonna have the freshies as well as a Terrence Mann Vorp watch and the Luke Kennard progress report. And of course, whatever else happens between now and then in Clipperland. Will, if someone wanted to review our podcast for fun or maybe for a
Profit?
Sure, yeah. If you're getting paid to do reviews, you better review our podcast. Where could they possibly do this?
You can review us for profit at Apple Podcasts or the podcast app on your mobile device. Also on Spotify, which if you check that out, hey, reviewing us there, it'd be great. Boost our numbers kind of on that platform. Anyways, you can listen to us on either one of those places. You can also listen to us on Google Podcasts, on Amazon Music. We're on Stitcher. We're on Deezer. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can get Locked On Clips. We're also on YouTube. Check us out,
It's a fun time.
Yeah.
It's a good time, even when we blow a 16-point lead. I have been positive, Chuck Mockler.
And I am William the Opinion Updike. And as always, we appreciate you. It won't stop. The recording won't stop.
Fuck.